Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And the Kathleen Kennedy saga continues. Yesterday, we reported that Kathleen Kennedy is rumored to be exiting Lucasfilm at the end of the year. She's not going to renew her contract. That is what insiders are saying. Now we've got some people saying, hold up, we haven't confirmed this yet. But then we've got other insiders, other people saying, no, they were going to actually make the announcement. It's Celebration, and Puck News, I guess, scooped them. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the legacy of Kathleen Kennedy. And we've got the media out there. The legacy of failure. We've got the media out there doing damage control for her already, saying that the problem was that she was too ambitious, and that she had a fanboy IP.
I have thoughts. I have some big thoughts. First of all, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, I think she's going to have to go no matter what at some point. But we've been hearing that she's going to be gone for so long that I don't think anybody will believe it at all until she actually has her ass out of there.
Somehow Kathleen Kennedy returned.
Right? Somehow Kathleen Kennedy still has a job. I was saying on Twitter today, Disney is the only place I've ever seen that if you have an infected hand that needs amputated, that they will literally amputate the other hand, the other arm, both feet, both legs, whatever, and not the thing that's causing the problem. And then the patient dies, and they're like, I don't know what happened.
Well, the investors need to sue Disney for malpractice, right? Because I mean, this is an ongoing pattern where there are problems and Disney just like lets it fester.
What's the worst thing we can do? Do that.
We're going to talk about the festering over at Lucasfilm and some speculation as to who might be her replacement. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you will get a woohoo.
Woohoo.
Yeah, thank you very much. Are you able to woohoo today? Because I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in pain, but I've got some thoughts. Pain. But I'm saving my pain rage for later when we get to this fanboy IP crap.
The pain rage. Also, if you guys are missing notifications on YouTube, you can go to clownfishtv.substack.com. Subscribe over there. You will get an email every time we post new content. Thank you. So let's talk about this first. This is coming from The Wrap. I saw it yesterday, and they're basically doing damage control for her. They're like, well, the reason that she had the problem she had was, she was very ambitious and she wanted to do new things with Star Wars, but she couldn't because she was clashing with corporate necessity.
Basically, I don't buy that.
Yeah. Disney has to make money, right?
No, I don't buy that. And I'll tell you why. If that was the case, then Disney came into it with right away with a plan in hand that they threw away. Iger tossed it, let Lucas believe he was going to use it because they wanted to make it their Star Wars. So that right away, like they do this with all their IP, and then this is when they kill it. They come into it like, what makes it popular? Okay, that's great, but we need to make it Disney's. And they brought Kathleen Kennedy, and they all decided it was going to be, well, it's the Me Too movement and all that crap. So we got to make everything about women because it wasn't very diverse, even though it was, and the audiences always were, and they try to keep arguing that they weren't. And I think, and obviously, The Force Awakens was by committee. It was, I might give them on that one because it was by committee. But it was her job to make sure that all three movies flowed together. And she was just basically like, okay, you do what you want and you do what you want. And it was a disaster. And it was solely on her shoulders that happened.
And then everything after that was solely on her shoulders. So this is them. Again, this is The Wrap. This is Drew Taylor.
This is where I'm pissed.
Trying to do damage control for Kathleen Kennedy. So it starts, Kennedy's tenure at the company, if it is coming to an end, has been one of ambition and controversy.
It's one of failure.
As she tried to chart new territory in a galaxy far, far away and serve her corporate overlords, she frequently waded into controversy and fan unrest.
She kept changing all the male characters to be women.
Attempting to sum up her time at Lucasfilm as difficult and troublesome met with some historic highs and almost subterranean lows, at least they're admitting that. Through it all, she never gave up. When the empirical forces attempted to squash her, she always resisted.
Okay, wait, okay, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not sorry, Mom. Here we go. Okay, a couple things. One, I do not believe that it was because she was trying to do something different and Disney didn't let her. Bullshit. Force's female shirt, she was flaunting it. Not only did they do it with, you cannot argue this. Not only did they do it with Star Wars, she fucking did it with Indiana Jones and Willow too. So it's not
Yes.
like, oopsie doopsie. No. I've never seen anybody screw every franchise up and still have a job. There's just no way. She had something on somebody over there. You would not convince me otherwise. Most likely Iger. She's got something, because nobody would sit there and let somebody F up this bad, this long, and just let them stay there.
Well, we'll talk about that, because if she is indeed leaving, and that's a big if. They think basically what happened was Puck News ran with it because they jumped the gun. They were going to announce it at Celebration, but her leaving coincides with Iger leaving.
Yeah, well, here's another thing. This thing here, too, they said historic highs and subterranean lows. It's mostly lows, because you had The Force Awakens that did well. But after that, everything fell off a cliff afterwards. Mandalorian did good, which wasn't really her, and then they found a way to F it up. But go back up for a second. But she had here, but they said when the empirical forces, basically they keep trying to blame it. It's because men. It's because fanboys. When the fans, you mean the fucking fans who kept the series around for decades, who bought the books, and who had the big year of toys before Disney bought it? You mean those fans? The ones you want to blame the Empire? Hell no. Hell no, bitch. Who wrote this article?
This is Drew Taylor at the wrap.
Okay, hell no, Drew. Hell no, Drew. Because you know what? You guys, Disney and them chose to deliberately go in a completely different direction and alienate the fans. Let people attack fans. Let actors attack fans. And where you might have been able to make some changes and push more characters, you did it in a bad way, in a ham-fisted way. And then you blame the fans when your shit didn't go over. And you keep making subpar crap. You're not going to blame it on men. It's solely broken because of your choices and the fact that you've alienated your fans, your core fans that you've had for decades. You flushed them down the toilet and then dehumanized them, called them names. Everybody who doesn't agree with you is a man.
So this is where it gets interesting. The next paragraph. This is coming from an agent who, talked to Drew Taylor, apparently.
The one agent that probably agreed with Drew?
Probably. She knows or knew what she was doing, and she's obviously a very well-experienced producer and executive, one top agent said. But managing brands like Star Wars is an impossible task because the fan base of all fanboy IP are toxic. Her biggest weakness is that she decided to take the job in the first place.
Okay. All right. Let's look at this first of all. She knows what she's doing. No, she doesn't. If she knew what she was doing, right, wouldn't she have planned out the 3 movies and not, instead of being like, we're starting this way, but Rian Johnson, you do whatever the hell you want, ruin everything and undo everything, and then we'll have to bring in somebody else to fix it. Wouldn't have happened if she knew what she was doing. Then they keep blaming on here once again, fanboys. Which one is it, Drew? Which one is it? Because if it was true that, that Star Wars was only for men, which it does lean male, the audience of Star Wars undeniably has always leaned male. That's the way it is. That does not mean that there were not people that were not white, straight, and male who loved Star Wars. There was a lot of people. If you look at the old pictures from the 70s, all kinds of people that were very different loved Star Wars. Always have been female fans and everything the whole way along. They liked it because they liked it for what it was. And if your argument is that, oh, thank God we've changed it, and now that it's been more diverse and inclusive, everybody loves it, it's obviously flawed because the returns have been dwindling with every new movie or show. If it was because diversity was lacking and it was because fanboys were toxic and keeping everybody away, you saving it, Star Wars being saved by making it more inclusive and diverse, should have gone the opposite direction than it did. Because the general public didn't want this shit to begin with. And stop blaming it on fanboys. I'm getting so sick of it. It's like if you disagree, you're automatically a man. Fuck that.
So she started, and look, I mean, to be fair, her name is on so many classic movies, mostly Spielberg productions. And she basically started out as a production assistant working with Spielberg and the director of 1941. Now I missed this. This is almost like a backhanded slap. I got to be honest. But she started out as someone who would take notes during the meetings.
Yes.
And this is Steven Spielberg.
Fetching coffee.
Yeah, this is Steven Spielberg in 2015. This is what he told NPR. He said, I remember Kathy came into the room with her steno pad and her pencil, and she was horrible at taking notes. She was terrible, and she didn't know how to do it very well. But what she did know how to do was interrupt somebody mid-sentence.
Relatable.
We'd be pitching ideas back and forth, and Kathy, who was supposed to be writing the ideas down, suddenly put her pencil down, would say something like, and what if he didn't get the girl, but instead got the dog? So she clearly was she was ambitious and she wanted to be a little more involved in the process, right? But apparently, you know, it worked out. He put her on a bunch of movies, and you know, remember, guys, George Lucas is the one who actually put Kathleen Kennedy in charge.
That's true. But here's the thing: she worked on these other movies that she wasn't in charge of, and they did well. You put her in charge, and it's a fucking disaster.
Well, so that's the thing. So my takeaway from that, and I know he's trying to build her up, is like, okay, she was so much more than a secretary, because we started her out as somebody who would just take the meeting notes or whatever, and then she wound up, you know, having these great ideas for the movies. But there's a difference between, you know, coming up with an idea whole cloth, you know, from the ground up, and just embellishing somebody else's ideas. And it feels like that's kind of what's going on with Star Wars. It wasn't hers. She's embellishing George Lucas's universe, and she's doing it badly, right? She doesn't fundamentally understand, because Star Wars came out of, I mean, again, this isn't to be misogynistic, this isn't to be whatever, but the Star Wars, the core of it was a father and a son working out their issues. That is the core, and it's basically an allegory for George Lucas and his dad, and how they never saw eye to eye, and all that. And that's very hard for somebody to come in from the outside and be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, you know.
Well, it's even harder because I think Disney is at play. Was they were all like on board this. We have to go more female with everything.
Yeah.
And they are not good caretakers. And they went too far the other way, because we don't have it's not diverse enough. So we have to push that it's completely diverse. And, you know, Rogue One worked out okay because it wasn't so ham-fisted. But they really dropped the ball with the sequel trilogy. And then, you know, we're here, no movie sense, because it's been so bad. And every time something does work, they have to put their fingers all over it. They let her in there, and then it ruins it. She brought in stupid Harvey Weinstein's assistant, and then they did the Acolyte, and the Acolyte was nothing but diversity and inclusion, and it failed across the board. And it's not because, I love how these like you said, Schrodinger's fandom, these websites somehow blame it on fanboys, but then say that they don't have the voice, but yet somehow they're the vocal minority and the silent majority at the same time.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, it's same with YouTubers. Like, yeah, I mean, that's what they're all like, oh, if those YouTubers, you know, and it's like, wait, like, look, the top quote unquote anti-YouTubers get maybe 15, 20,000 people watching them on live stream. I think that'd be Nerdrotic or Drinker or somebody like that. And those are respectable numbers for a live stream, but in the grand scheme of things, we're talking like millions of people tuning out, right?
Right, and the thing is, a lot of these YouTubers share across audiences. Like, they have a lot of same people, so it's not like each are getting that amount of money or amount of people. I mean, it's each of those groups are like probably watching all of them, so it's still a small group. Yet somehow they're trying to say that they're behind it. It's like, no, it's because the audience at large, the silent majority, people, you know, aren't just American, don't want your shit. They hate it. And that's why everything gets worse and worse and worse and drops off a cliff more, because they just expect more bad, because your choices have been bad.
Now, this is interesting. This is another film producer, and he didn't really have glowing praise. So apparently they're talking to people in Hollywood, and it's all on the down low. And this producer said, Kathleen Kennedy is one of the most legendary producers of my lifetime. I wondered at the time why she did want to take over from George. She made a bunch of TV shows and movies with a mixed degree of success. I don't know if anyone could do it better, but I wish her the best. Basically, like, yeah, everything she's done. I mean, she's done a lot of stuff, but it's been a mixed bag, and I don't know if anybody can do better. The only reason we're at this point, I think, is because the fans basically chased off George Lucas, and he didn't want anything to do with it anymore. And Disney came knocking with a bunch of money.
But Disney, he still handed something that would have worked. And Disney still had so much to go on that was already existing that would have worked. And it's like, they looked at everything. What works with this fandom? Let's throw that out the window and do everything else that doesn't. You know, that's what I get.
And that was the thing. Like, he agreed to sell, and people forget this too. He agreed to sell Star Wars to Disney, Lucasfilm to Disney, with the understanding that they were going to follow his treatment for 7, 8, 9. And then as soon as the ink dried, I mean, he should have had that in writing. He should have had that, like, this is a condition of the sale, is that you have to follow my outline to the best of your ability. And they just took it, as soon as the ink dried, they threw it out and did what they wanted to do. And
pretty much.
So like he got double screwed, right? So he got mad at the fans. He sold Star Wars, and then Disney stuck it to him. And then he's on, I think it was a Charlie Rose show or something, calling them white slavers and saying it was his fault because he sold his kids into slavery. And it's like, so there were a lot of mistakes were made, but like at the end of it, nobody is happy. Nobody's happy. The fandom's not happy. George Lucas isn't happy.
Yeah. But the problem is a fandom needs to be the one that you focus on being happy, because if you want to make the money and you want to keep it alive, you need to worry about that. I see here, too, they're mentioning about, this is the other thing, Kennedy is infamously classed with a number of high-profile filmmakers.
Yes.
Every other day it was creative differences. And she's gone through so many people that they won't even go anywhere near Star Wars because of her.
I have to wonder if part of that isn't just they said her personality. They said that she would basically just interrupt people and give her ideas to what should happen. I wonder if that wasn't happening here. Like people come in and be like, "Oh, I'm going to pitch it," and then Kathy would just be like, "Yeah, I'm going to just kind of rewrite it myself because I think this is the way things should go." And if you're an executive in charge of a studio, you can have some oversight and you can say, "Yeah, this isn't going to fly," whatever. But if you hire a director for a job, you'd think you'd hire a person that you trusted that was competent enough to pull it off with minimal, studio interference. And the only time the studio should get involved is if it's very clear. You're looking at the dailies, you're looking at the rough cut, and you're like, yeah, this thing's coming off the rail. I got to hire somebody to fix it. But
the studios were just, Disney especially was just looking at it as IP fodder for their theme parks and everything else. And then they're trying to be like, we need to make sure everybody feels included. Thing is, you can't do that. You can't make a story about everybody. You tried. Broom Boy didn't work. Sorry.
Yeah, they're talking about some of the other stuff she picked up that never happened. They're talking about trouble in hyperspace. They said if there's a lot, oh my God, the media admits it. If there is a fulcrum point to Kennedy's reign, it's likely the 2017 release of The Last Jedi.
Yeah, but finish the rest point. Because the critics, it was an artistic triumph.
An artistic triumph. Critics.
Yeah, the media loved it. The media loved that, ate that shit up. All the people who didn't grow up with Star Wars or grew up, they weren't really caring about it. They loved it because it was giving them everything they wanted. And of course, they finished. It rubbed fans the wrong way with vitriolic comments, flooding it. It sucked. I'm sorry. You know what? Kiss my ass. And how come it's vitriolic if fans don't like it? But if Drew didn't like something and he said something, that would probably just be fair criticism. The thing is, I did this with Acolyte too, where any criticism was vitriol. No, see, that's not fair. There's valid criticism. A lot of the comments are valid. You just don't want to hear it. That's the difference. Stop with this bullshit. Stop blaming the fans. Why is Star Wars so fucked? Besides the fact you made bad choices, you have done nothing but attack fans at every turn. People like Drew and the media. So fans don't even care anymore. It is mostly your fault that fans have turned against Star Wars. People like Drew.
I can't believe they're saying Luke Skywalker and The Last Jedi was a series best for Mark Hamill.
No, hell no.
They said the internet was wrong. They assumed there were DEI mandated casting decisions, including Kelly Marie Tran, who left the internet. Again, that has been debunked 100 times over.
I know. And the thing is, like, a lot of people liked it. I like her as an actress, but her character was stupid. Her character was just there. You had Poe and Finn, who had character growth from the last one, and they were doing better. And then all of a sudden, you just demote them and make them miserable assholes all over again to make these new characters that Rian Johnson put in there, these new female characters, like, they're foils. They're going to learn them.
Yeah, that was
they didn't need it. I'm a woman, and I thought that was stupid.
Every male character had a female standing over his shoulder to tell him what an awful person he was.
If they wanted that, they would have got married.
I know. Ooh.
Oh, you like that one? Yeah.
I am saying nothing. You are right more often than you're wrong. But
I'm not over your shoulder. I'm in a different room. But I can get there pretty quick.
It's come over. Your shoe can get here faster than you can. It's just
That's true.
Okay, so this whole thing can be summed up. This is probably gonna be the title of the episode. Kathleen Kennedy did nothing wrong, because now they're trying to be like, oh, she didn't ruin Galaxy's Edge either, guys. This was because Bob Chapek cut back on all the droids and immersion in Galaxy's Edge. But Kathleen Kennedy did nothing wrong. Actually, the story was that the original version of Galaxy's Edge which would have been wildly successful, was based on the original trilogy. You can still see it because where the Falcon is, that looks like Docking Bay 94. It looks like Tatooine. and then they retrofitted it to be the sequel trilogy. Now they're bringing in Darth Vader, and now they're bringing in original trilogy characters. But yeah, I mean, Disney did cut back on all the promised immersion. Then they wanted to paywall it.
They paywalled it. That's what they did, which didn't work for them. But yeah, Chapek did cut back on the immersion, but it was going to go original trilogy until Iger decided, him and KK decided to change it to the new sequel trilogy, which was colossally stupid.
That's what happened. They wanted to tie it in with all the crap. They talked about the High Republic. That was a failure. Yeah, right? It didn't do well. That was her thing. The High Republic was Kathleen Kennedy's thing. When she got complete control, she's like, we're going to do the High Republic. We're going to take Star Wars in an exciting, new, diverse direction. And it was a massive failure, culminating with the Acolyte. And I think that's where they're going to push Batu and all that stuff into it. But yeah, I mean, did Disney make a lot of bonehead decisions with the parks and stuff? Yeah. Is Disney breathing down her neck, telling her she has to crank out Disney Plus shows and movies every year? Yeah. I believe it. But again,
there's no movies. There haven't been a movie in like 6 years.
They don't trust her. I don't think they trust her to make a movie. I think they're like, they're like, we'll relegate Star Wars to Disney Plus at this point. But I mean, look, she is the captain of the ship, regardless of what, Iger is telling her or Chapek's telling her, whatever, the buck stops there. They could have greenlit movies or projects or made different decisions that would have been better, I think, for the franchise. But I mean, I think there's blame all the way around. Kathleen Kennedy absolutely positively is to blame for a lot of it. Disney, Iger in particular, is to blame for a lot of it.
Look at this. Star Wars might be a little wobblier than when she joined Lucasfilm.
A little.
Yeah, I know. It's almost dead. I mean, it's 6 feet under, dipshit. At the time, it was... Go ahead.
6 feet under. No, I mean, I was going back to that Twitter post I saw. I can't remember who posted it. Forgive me off the top of my head. But they said that Star Wars toy sales had a record year in 2010 and 2011. And that was years after the Clone Wars ended. That was after the prequels. Those toys were evergreen. Kids
still bought Disney got it. Before Disney got it.
Right before Disney got it. Kids were still buying Star Wars toys. They had a record year. People were still buying them. Collectors were still buying them. And then as soon as Disney got a hold of it, like you can find freaking Force Awakens figures still on the shelves at Ollie's. Mm-hmm. Mostly Ray.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, they said that, Kennedy, it's been flooded with content and made the brand less special, which, that is true. That is a Disney thing. That's true. The Mandalorian was a home run, but the series that followed besides Andor have been middling at best. Yeah, because they keep making bad decisions. And they said, and actively bad at worst. Are you allowed to say that, Drew? I mean, I thought it was the fans. I thought it was the fans that were terrible. I'm just so tired of this. People like Drew, Kathleen Kennedy's decisions, and people like Drew, why Star Wars is dead.
Yeah, so they're talking about some of the choices, but they're like, but finding anyone willing to navigate the toxic fandom of Star Wars will be a task worthy of the most skilled Jedi warrior. To get past the years of resentment, misogyny, bigotry, and pettiness of the core fan base and carve out a bigger, more expansive, more inclusive Lucasfilm will be a challenge for anybody.
Drew, kindly go fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. I don't care. Sorry. I am so mad. Stop with this. Oh my God, AI could have written this shit. What's the most typical stuff that the media keeps saying? Put that in an article. Bigotry. Bullshit. Misogyny. There are a lot of women who don't like it, Drew. They already tried the super and far inclusive bullshit, and mainstream audiences that weren't the toxic fans that you hate, just the silent majority, rejected it too. Because nobody wants that shit. It's not Star Wars. Star Wars was always inclusive, Drew. But you probably weren't even there, were you? I bet you were probably not even born yet. Star Wars was always inclusive. You can just take that bullshit. People like you, Drew, are, I think, 90% to blame for why no one gives a shit about Star Wars anymore. Because you bullied fans for having opinions that didn't agree with you. People like you. To the place that they're just apathetic and don't care anymore. But you can take your bullshit narrative and shove it up your ass where your head is.
So I guess we'll move on here real quick to the rumor that they jumped the gun. This is coming from Cosmic Book News. I think she is going to leave. I mean, she's going to be 72 or 73 this year. So, I mean, is she really going to sign another 5-year contract? I mean, she'll be damn near 80 years old. Who the hell wants to be...
I don't think Star Wars can make another 5 years.
Star Wars is done. Star Wars has been done. I mean, I don't think the last Jedi was definitely the change, because people were legitimately excited for Star Wars until Last Jedi, and that just broke everything. I mean, I remember there were all kinds of channels out there on YouTube, and that's where Star Wars theory came from. Talking about like what was going to happen in the sequel trilogy, and there were so many really good theories as to where Star Wars was going to go after The Force Awakens, and all the fan theories were better than what actually happened, and that's what's so damn disappointing. But yeah, CNN, trusted news, CNN, they said it's not the case. There's nothing there right now. They're not saying it's not happening. They're just saying they haven't heard anything.
They probably got a call. Oh, hurry up, cover it up.
Yeah,
she has to be gone at some point. There's no way.
People said that they thought that, CNN adds if an announcement is coming, it will be made public when actual decisions are made. They're speculating.
They aren't denying it.
They're not denying it. Like, you got to be real careful, because that was like they tried to run with it with Vincent D'Onofrio. They're like, oh, Vincent D'Onofrio slapped down Rob Liefeld. It's like, no, he didn't. He danced around the issue. He didn't say that the original cut of Daredevil Born Again wasn't a comedy. He just said that they had to go back and reshoot it to keep it in line with fan expectations, which is a nice way of saying, yeah, you're right. It, sucked. And Puck is actually 99% of the time they're right. So I think they heard from somewhere that she probably is playing it. I mean, she's sold her house. Star Wars is in the gutter. Bob Iger is leaving. It seems like if you're going to exit, now would be the time to do it. I mean, there aren't any movies that she's really that involved with that are currently being done. The Mando movie comes out next year, but by the time she leaves, it'd be in the can already. And I don't know what her feelings are on it, because that seems like it's more of a Favreau thing than it is a her thing. It says Damage Control. The trades have reported that the official announcement is expected at Celebration in April. If she is retiring, it sounds like the news leaked early, and Kennedy, Disney, and Lucasfilm are doing Damage Control.
Well, they were smart. They would announce it now, because people are happy as could be that she might be gone.
Yeah,
Damage Control would just be like, yep, she's out the door. And then people be like, yay.
Well, I mean, Sarah, where do you go from here? You already became the butt of a joke on South Park. You've already destroyed the Star Wars brand. It's like you weren't allowed to say Star Wars was in a bad place 3 or 4 years ago, where you were like a literal Nazi. And
they're still doing it. You're a bigot and a misogynist and a blah, 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 blah.
And I think she actually, my personal feeling, I think she'll actually leave. And we said before, like back when there were rumors that she was going to be pushed out in 2018 or whatever, we said, no, she has a track record in Hollywood. She's well known in Hollywood. She will leave on her own terms. But I'm like, at this point, you're leaving in disgrace, because you've completely burnt this franchise to the ground. And if there is friction between her and Disney, because of Disney dropping the ball with the theme parks or whatever, why the hell would you stay and subject yourself to more of that anyway?
I don't know. The whole thing is, I don't know as much Star Wars left to hand over to anyone. And if they hand it over to someone, I don't even know if it's savable at this point.
I don't know if it is either.
They completely undo everything, let it rest for several years and start over again. I don't know what else they can do, to be completely honest with you.
They're talking about, people that can replace her. And that might be the thing too. They might be trying to, honestly, they might be trying to lock in a replacement so they can make the announcement in, Celebration in April. But they've got Jon Favreau. I would say of these, he's probably the best pick. Mm-hmm. Dave Filoni, he's compromised.
He's drank the fucking Kool-Aid, dude.
He's gone, man. I mean, Dave Filoni, 10 years ago, I would have said, yeah, but now, no. Favreau or Filoni plus. So they're talking like multiple people. Kevin Feige, hell no.
Yeah, I thought this was so funny. And people are going about Kevin Feige. I'm like, we just did one yesterday. They were talking about how Feige needs to leave the MCU because he fucked it up so bad. He's basically KK 2.0. Yeah. And they're just like, let's put him in charge. Like, why would you do that?
J.J.
That
Abrams.
Makes sense. Oh, yeah, J.J. Abrams. Great idea. Oh, God.
Emma Watts, she was an executive who was a longtime president of production at Fox, and she did the X-Men movies and Deadpool and Avatar. So, I don't know. Hannah Minghella, I have no idea. Bad Robot.
I was saying this is like hiring Abrams.
Yeah, so Cleo with a Chance of Meatballs, Hotel Transylvania, Jumanji, and Goosebumps. Okay, yeah, that's great. I would guess whoever they put, I would say Filoni's probably the most likely, or that they would split it and have him be the creative director. If that is the case, then Star Wars is dead. Because Filoni, like you said, he drank the Kool-Aid. He's not the same guy he was 15 years ago. He has lost the plot, and we've seen it in the shows that he's been involved in, and all he's doing is like shoving his animated OCs into live action.
Pretty much, it's the same thing as you know what we're seeing like with that of like Ryan Johnson and stuff. But it's just like the best choice would be Favreau of all the choices. Do not put Feige in. At that point, that doesn't even make sense. Like, he already screwed up the MCU. He was handed a 3-year plan, and then after the 3-year plan, and he had to come up with his own, he completely dropped the ball, and he ruined everything. He also went the same way as KK. Put a chick in it, make her lame, make her gay, and they keep doing that. And then the movies have just fallen off a cliff. The shows have fallen off a cliff. And let's put him in charge of Star Wars. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, if they do that at this point in time, you're not going to convince me that Disney isn't fucking it up on purpose. There's just no way.
Star Wars is something that I think it just you take the creator out of it and you can't really keep going. I mean, Star Wars is such a personal thing, I think, for George Lucas that it doesn't make any sense to. I mean, he told his story. He told his story in 6 movies. We have those 6 movies. Some people say 3 movies. What you do, you boo. But I think a lot of people are just like, yeah, the Disney stuff feels apocryphal. It doesn't feel like real Star Wars.
Because it can't be done well. There was lots of expanded universe stuff that did do it well.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but they threw it all out. They threw it all out. Then they want to go back and cherry pick stuff like, oh, we'll throw it all out. Oh, except for Thrawn, and maybe we'll bring Mara Jade back, and maybe we'll do.
They better not. They better not touch Mara Jade because they'll destroy her.
Absolutely. So anyway, we're gonna wrap this one up. I think we need to wrap it up. Again, guys, if you're looking for notifications, go out to clownshishtv.substack.com. We will keep an eye on the KK situation. This is the most interesting Star Wars has been in probably 5 years.
Drew, you can kiss my ass.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.